From Music City, this is the Almost Famous podcast.
I got a rocket in my bucket and a roll in my wall.
And welcome to this episode of the Almost Famous podcast with Rocket Man, Nash Rockett, Rocket in the Morning, however you'd like to refer to me. I have so many nicknames. Most of the time, I have no idea who I am from 1 minute to the next. But I know who this guy is. This guy is the guy. 1 degree of glamorous. Tom Zenner. Welcome him to the podcast today.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Nash Rockett. Rocket Man.
Oh, it's good to hear you, man. It really is. I'm so excited to have the opportunity to hash it out. This is probably the best national championship we've seen in a long time. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think the anticipation for sure. We're all expecting it to be a great game. It better be.
Yep.
And how can it not be? I love the fact that they're going to be well rested.
Yep.
You're looking at an unstoppable offense. And then there's LSU playing in the game too.
oh man!
You know, it's going to be really interesting. I can't wait. I cannot wait for this game. And I'm so glad Ohio State didn't make it. I think Oklahoma deserves a 10-year ban from even being considered for a playoff game again. Oh, this also makes the argument you don't need 8 or 10 teams. I mean, this was a perfect amount, 4-team playoff, the right matchups, and yeah, it's going to be a phenomenal game.
So I take it by your comment, you're leaning toward the Clemson Tigers.
I'm leaning toward they've got more ass. Well, here's the thing. I like Lawrence. Mm-hmm. I like him more than I like Joe Burrow. I like the fact that Joe Burrow had a great year, unstoppable. This is another beast he's facing, a championship-tested team with athletes on the defensive side of the ball for Clemson, with a great coaching staff, has a good defensive coordinator for Clemson. He knows what he's doing. And I don't know. Trevor Lawrence has the it factor, the wow factor. He's been a champion. He's never been anything but a great college quarterback. Joe Burrow was unknown for 3 or 4 years until whatever this reincarnation of him is this year. And I like guys that have proven it, to be honest with you.
You and I always end up on the opposite side of things. How is that possible?
This makes for a better podcast when that happens. I'll say this, Rocket. I like the talent on LSU. I think they got more talent on the defensive side of the ball. I think their defensive backfield is insane. They've got playmakers, wide receivers. I think they have more players, more skilled players that are going to, do great. But they've never played on this stage either. I mean, this is going to be new for them, the national championship game in Clemson. It's not new for them.
Hang on just a second. I have Ed Orgeron in the studio here with Ed. Come on. I don't know what that guy's talking about there. That guy's, LSU forever. Go Tigers. Joe Burrow's best player ever walked the face of the earth. He's almost football Jesus. And we're going to kill him. And I don't know where you get your guests, but you need to upgrade your guest list, son.
Sorry, Ed. The funny, did you read that sports story in ESPN, on ESPN.com that's about him and kind of everybody talking about him that has been in his life?
Yeah.
Okay, every story with Ed Orgeron starts with he walks into a room and puts 20 pounds of crawfish on the table. Does that guy go anywhere without 20 pounds of crawfish?
Mud bugs.
I mean, holy crap. He must have like a big bucket everywhere he goes.
Hey, you and I are going to have to agree on this. The tailgating party at the Superdome Monday night is going to be the best party that's ever been had in a long, long time at a college football party. Would you agree?
One year alone, I went to New Orleans 7 times. Seven times in 1 year. So I know the food is really, really good down there. Now, crawfish, you can have it.
You don't like them, huh?
The gumbo.
Yeah.
The po' boy. The, etouffee. It's going to be an insane barbecue out there.
Yeah, it is.
Redneck versus redneck. It's going to be a great game.
So let's talk about, I'm a little disappointed because it's not Ohio State playing for this reason. Because I think Trevor Lawrence may be, we don't know yet, the best quarterback. However, the story of Joe Burrow being the only time he played at Ohio State was cleanup time, right? For 3 years, he sat the bench, and I don't know who put that deal together, but it was the perfect storm of a deal. And I think LSU is going to beat them. And I think maybe handily. Yeah, well,
wow.
I do. Now,
Rocket.
Yes.
They're not going to get those easy scores like they did against Oklahoma. They're not going to be up, 42-7 midway through the second quarter. I don't know. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say handily. I think this is going to be a close game.
No, I agree. So sure, I'll withdraw my statement, Your Honor. Maybe not handily, but what I know is it's going to be awesome, and what a great story for Joe Burrow. I mean, as I said, Trevor Lawrence may be the best quarterback, but Joe Burrow's got the best story.
No, if it had been LSU versus Ohio State, you can't do any better than that. Just to think, okay, here's the team that he could have been playing for. He signed with what he couldn't beat out Haskins last year. He was at LSU last year. So I forgot who was the quarterback at Ohio State a couple of years ago. But it's unfathomable to think this guy couldn't sniff the field, and then he sets every passing record there is at another school.
Well,
it's the toughest conference.
It's an enigma. It really is. I mean, why was he not playing at Ohio State? And then why is he just prolific at LSU? Well, who cares?
Well, Rocket, I think you have to look at the one thing. What's the one difference? It's the passing game coordinator for LSU that they stole from New Orleans. I mean, that is the reason he did this, because it's too much of a coincidence. He ends up doing this the year that they bring in this guy that is the whiz kid. I mean, I'm surprised. I don't have his name in front of me, but the guy that's running the passing attack for LSU that they brought from the Saints, who was like the quarterback's coach for the Saints.
Right.
How is this guy not being stolen by NFL teams?
Well,
I can't believe that he's going to make it another year there without getting plucked.
And who knows? He may be out the door, with the Burrows. So, okay. You say Clemson, I say LSU. We both say we hate mud bugs, and it's going to be a hell of a game to watch on television. So let's move on. Topic number 2, something that you have personal experience with, Tom Brady.
Sure, he was just starting out. Like the first year I was in Boston was the year Brady was a rookie and nobody knew who he was.
Okay, and he replaced Trent Dilfer.
No, Drew Bledsoe.
I mean, Drew Bledsoe. Yes.
Yeah, he got jacked on the sideline against the Jets, and the rest is history.
Yes.
But yeah, I was in that Patriots locker room a lot, and there was no presence for Brady. I mean, you wouldn't think about talking to him. You'd have no reason to. You just see him. Mm-hmm. And then the next year is when he got the opportunity, and God, that's over 20 years ago. It's unbelievable.
Right. Now, do you think he's going to hang it up, or you think he's going to play, and where?
Oh, I can give you 100% on both these answers. A, he's not hanging it up. Absolutely not. His statement the other day on Instagram was simply, to let everybody in Boston know, including the Patriots, that, hey, if I'm not here, it's not because of me. And so he's forcing the Patriots' hand there. He's not coming back to Boston. Absolutely. I just don't see them doing that another year, because he's not going to want to make the sacrifice that he's always had to financially. I think one time in his life he's going to say, pay me what I'm worth, 28 to 32 million. And the Patriots can't do that, and I don't think they will. Now, they don't have a backup. I think it's the stupidest thing for Bill Belichick to not retire, because why even open the door that it's all because of Brady? And that's, I think, what could happen if Belichick stays there a couple more years and they're below average, which is what they will be. They will be below average with whoever's going to replace Brady. But he's gone. I could tell in the press conference after the game that they lost the other day to Tennessee, he's 100% gone. He didn't have a logo on his hat when he was talking. He referred to the Patriots as they instead of we. He's so gone. I think he's not coming to the Chargers. I don't know why you go from the best ownership and the best run organization to the absolute worst. And if you want me to guess, you know where I'm going to guess?
I hope I know where you're going to guess. Go.
Carolina.
Oh,
Carolina.
Oh, really?
And the only reason I'm saying that is because they have a very aggressive owner who doesn't care. I mean, he wants to win and he wants to be relevant. And I don't think that it's going to be Cam Newton anymore. I just don't. I think they've seen him. I don't think he fits how that offense wants to evolve. I love Matt Rule, and I just don't know about Cam Newton being his guy. So that's my guess. A 1 or 2 year little transition in Carolina.
Interesting. We're talking to Tom Zenner, who has his very own podcast, 1 Degree of Glamorous. And, if you ever saw this guy's hair, you would know why he named his podcast. He named his podcast, for crying out loud, after his hair. Didn't you? Go ahead. Admit it.
Well, the more I think if you're somehow referring to the fact that I have great hair, I can't dispute that.
Now
here's a little known secret about me. I have to have my wife fix my hair every day. I'm incapable of doing it. When I used to do it by myself back in the day with you, she called it helmet hair, anchor hair.
Yeah.
Part it on the side and do whatever the hell I was doing. Now she's brought some style and flair to the rescue.
This is one talented dude, Tom Zenner, and you can catch his podcast at 1 Degree of Glamorous, wherever podcasts are sold or even given away for free. Okay, so, all right, last...
Why? Where do you think Brady's going? What's he got?
Well, I agree with you 100%. He's not stopping. He's not walking out. I told somebody earlier today, even on the podcast here, I think, that it's not something he's going to walk away from. They may carry him away, but he's not going to walk away from something. He's too pretty. He's got too big an ego. And you're right. Why not make the $30 million a year for the next couple of years and go out on his own terms? And you know what, Zenner, he's earned that, don't you think?
Oh God, yeah. I think it's human nature. Okay, I think you could make the correlation. I will sacrifice some of that salary if we're competing for Super Bowls, and every single year they are. So it was worth it to him to take less, to create some salary cap space.
Because that money shows up in other places, right?
You would think, right? I mean, we're talking about a couple shrewd, smart guys. They figured it out, him and Kraft somehow. Right. But now, at some point, that's how you are measured in this world, especially in pro sports, by how much you make. And if I'm him, I'd want to squeeze every penny I can. And maybe he's not going to get as much as if it was 4 or 5 or 6 years ago, just because of his age. But there's going to be an owner and a general manager that will think that he is the answer for them, and he'll have a few options. Not maybe a ton of options, but he'll have a couple.
Okay, I don't know whether you heard this or not, but there was a news bulletin out of the University of Tennessee this week that suggested that Tennessee Volunteers are going to win the East next year in the SEC. Did you hear that?
Well, no, when you started saying news bulletin in Tennessee, I thought you were saying that they were going to drop football. But
you know what?
No,
I remember now why I hate you so much.
It doesn't take long, does it? I'm the only one in Nashville that will poke you a little bit.
You're right. You're right about that.
You got all your fans out there.
Yeah. So let me just lay a scenario down to you. I mean, I actually went to the opening game where they lost to Georgia State, for crying out loud, and this was before they allowed beer sales. Okay, so. We didn't even have that as benefit. We just had to sit there and suffer through that. Okay, here's the thing. And I'm going to put you hip to a story. I don't know whether you know this, but of course in sports, you know everything. You may know this story. Anyway, Jake Fromm at Georgia, he's out. He's declared, and he's going to the NFL, right? We know that, right? Okay. So there is a 5-star lineman who dumped Tennessee because of all the Butch Jones thing and went to Georgia 2 years ago as a freshman, has been playing. He's fabulous. 5-star lineman called Cade Mays. Well, while Cade Mays' family was there on a recruiting trip, they were at dinner at a Georgia athletic organization dinner thing, recruiting thing. And his father got his finger caught between 2 tables. You know those fold-away tables that they have?
Yeah.
And it, it amputated his finger right there at dinner. Okay? And one of the players came up, got the finger. Mr. Mays, here's your finger. I know it's not funny. It's not funny. but it is in kind of a sick way. And so they have been going round and round for 2 years about this. And so finally they said, hell no, our kid is coming back to Tennessee where he belongs. And they couldn't reattach the finger, by the way. And they're suing the University of Georgia. So they've got literally all this bad blood in the cafeteria, evidently. And so he's coming back. Trey Smith, the fellow who was projected, he had all the blood clots in his lungs, and he was projected to go to the NFL this year. No, he's staying. And so they've got this amazing line now with this Cade Mays' kid brother, Cooper Mays. Incredible. OL. Now, here's the thing. Talking about Trevor Lawrence. They've got a quarterback coming in here who is one of the top-rated quarterbacks in the country. His name is Harrison Bailey. Are you aware of him?
Not specifically.
Okay, he's from
5-star?
4-star.
Okay.
He's from Georgia, and he is very Trevor Lawrence. He's that kind of player. He's 6'5", 220, 18 years old. Now, where is he going to end up in a year or two? He's going to be 6'6", 225 probably. And evidently can run like a deer. And in his last home football game 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, or 4 weeks ago in high school, he threw for 460 yards and 6 touchdowns in the first half.
Georgia?
In the first half.
Yes. Come on. In a state championship game in Georgia?
Yes. So there you go. This kid is the real deal, and we're excited. And because of all the shakeup at Georgia, because of them losing Fromm and the Mays kid and all of the crap that goes on with that, they seem to think that because of that lawsuit that they're going to be able to put him in right away. So I am predicting that they're going to win the East.
Okay. Well, I love the optimism. Hey, Tennessee needs to be good. It's better when Tennessee's good.
Yep.
They should be good. There's no excuse. My only concern is the coach, the coaching staff. And I hope he's learned some things. I'd say he was probably a game or two away from being fired this year, but they did turn it around.
Yeah.
And finish strong. So that's great. So they had a little success at the end of the year. But it's just him. I hope he can get it done. I'm not a big fan of these, Alabama retreads that they bring and think it's going to, make a huge difference right away. But look, if I was you and a big fan and from there and everything, the excuses have just got to stop, especially when you see how teams can turn it around quickly. Look at Minnesota,
right,
with PJ Fleck. How you can turn things around with the right coach. So, yeah, I hope you're right. I hope you are. Now, you just got to watch out for Florida. It's not like they're going to get much worse.
Right, true. True enough. But at least we have them at home next year, see. That's
good.
That's the thing. Now, one last bit of information. This is the Almost Famous podcast, right? And the whole point of it is so that I was famous at one particular point in time. And I'm trying to become famous again. Not for the money, not for the attention, just so I can get on Dancing with the Stars and dance with Whitney Carson. Is there anything you can do? And I'm sure if I could do that, I would be a guest on 1 Degree of Glamorous. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say yes to both of them. I could probably help you.
Could you really? Because
now that I know.
That's the goal.
Now tell me, do you like her? Do you like her a lot? Or are we talking obsession?
Yeah, we're probably closer to obsession than like her a lot.
Well, that's good. That's good. That makes it easier for me. And speaking of hair, Rocket, you know, I can pitch you, and you got plenty of hair. I mean, I got to hand it to you, man. That's a strong, look that you still have going on.
Not only do I have plenty of hair, it's blue.
I know. I love it. Hey, can you move though on a dance floor?
You know what?
What do we have physically?
Now, I from our time spent together on the radio, I was, I did ballet for about 5 years.
Hell yeah. You were a damn good tennis player too.
Yeah. Yeah, true enough. And so I have been talking about this literally for a year. Guess what I got for Christmas? Ballroom dancing lessons. So it is balls to the wall at this point. And I want to call on you at some point, once I get famous enough again, so that you can help me get on to Dancing with the Stars. I don't want to win. Okay. I don't care about winning. I just want to dance with her one time.
No, I got you. You know, I have a funny story for Dancing with the Stars. And yes, the answer is yes. Now that I know that that's something, now I filed that away because I'm around, a lot of these people all the time, and I know the producers, and I know I'm just in the mix out here, so I can, now that I know, let me work on it. I went to a taping of Dancing with the Stars a few years ago when the show was really, really hot.
Right.
And it was like Mario Lopez was on there, Emmett Smith was on that season. And then you remember Max, right?
Sure.
Okay, so Shonda, my wife, who you know very well, like every other woman in this country, loved Max, loved Max.
Yep.
So I took her to a Dancing with the Stars taping, and I said, all right, here's the deal. I'm going to take you down there, and I'm going to give you a shot to hug Max. Okay?
Nice.
And okay, great. So I take her down there. I get her backstage, introduce her to Max. And I say, hey, Shauna, anything you want to do? And she choked. She didn't give the hug to Max. So then fast forward about, 8 years later when the Super Bowl was in Phoenix a few years ago, we were at this party. And Max was there again, and she paid me back big time by basically sitting on his lap for a photo. and I didn't think that was part of the deal. But anyway,
gotta be careful.
Come out here.
You got
to LA.
Well, I might. You got to be careful when you lead. You got to be careful when you lead the horse to the water hole.
Well, especially that horse.
They're gonna drink.
Here's another funny story. So Matt Leinart, right, when he came out of college. By the way, I did a radio show with Matt Leinart all this past year. It was really good.
Cool.
So Matt was, the glory boy coming out of USC, and
right.
he comes to Arizona, and he was going to be drafted in the first round for the Cardinals.
Right.
So, remember back in the day, I used to have that magazine, and we would get all kinds of athletes and celebrities in the magazine, and we did a cover shoot with Matt, and then he was at a party that we were hosting, and I took Shonda was there, of course, and we did a photo. And the funniest thing about the photo is when we get it back, it looked like Matt and her were married, and I was one of those guys trying to bomb a photo. Like that's where I was, that far off on the side, and she was so curled up into him with his arm around her that you'd think that they were on their wedding anniversary or something.
Well, she's got her game going on because I just saw somewhere on Facebook where you and the whole cast of Shark Tank. It was a picture of you, and she had stolen Damon John's chair, and all of you.
Yep.
What's the story on that?
Oh, so the showrunner for Shark Tank is a great guy. His name is Clay Newell, and he's just a phenomenal dude. And we're friends with him, and he wanted us to come down and watch taping, and we came down there. And I know Damon a little bit, and I know a couple of the other Sharks. And Shonda, well, you know her. She makes herself at home wherever. So she just, planted herself right there in the chair, and
It was a great picture. It was a great picture.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun. And everybody on that cast is awesome. They're just so cool. Mark and Lori and even Mr. Wonderful. They're all great.
Too cool. All right, my friend. I can't, I know you probably have to get to Malibu for some celebrity meeting or something. So I'm going to cut this short. I want to remind everybody the podcast is 1 Degree of Glamorous with Tom Zenner, and you can see it and grab it at Apple Podcasts.
And Rocket, let me add one more thing. We're going to have TV content coming up nationwide here soon. So stay in touch with me, and I'll tell you where it's going to be airing and where you can see it, et cetera.
Now, you're going to have what now? What?
TV, no, 1 Degree of Glamorous is going to be TV content too. So,
oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah. So stay tuned. I'll stay in touch with me, and I'll let you know. But it's going to be really fun. It's going to be cool all over the country. I certainly
will. 1 Degree of Glamorous with Tom Zenner. I love this guy. He's so talented and got really great hair, and he's just killing it in L.A. And I miss our days on the radio, pal, 20 years ago.
I know.
Yeah, it was fun, right? It was.
I think we could still do a show.
Yeah, I do too.
Just roll us out there like we didn't miss a damn thing.
Absolutely, brother. My love.
All right, well, keep killing it in Nashville. I'm glad you're out there, and I would love to come visit and stay in touch and holler if you need anything.
All right, pal. Tom Zenner, everybody. Okay. Thank you, buddy. Hey, I want to thank Tom Zenner, my old buddy from my radio days, for being on the podcast today. He and I rarely agree on anything. But that's kind of the fun of it. So thank you, Mr. Zenner, and be sure to check out his podcast, 1 Degree of Glamorous. You'll be glad you did. Okay, Monday night, the NCAA College Football Playoff National Championship, 7 p.m. Eastern at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. LSU, Clemson, both 14-0. Wow. It's a big game. It's probably the best game potentially on paper in a long time. LSU hasn't won a national championship since 2007. Clemson won it last year over Alabama. But man, the winds of opportunity are prevailing here, I think, in LSU's favor. You know, a Shakespeare character, Malvolio in Twelfth Night, said, "Some are born great, some achieve greatness, but others have greatness thrust upon them." And I think that kind of sums it up for Joe Burrow and beloved LSU coach Ed Orgeron. I think the winds of mighty are going to be prevailing for LSU, and they're going to beat. It's just too big a story for Joe Burrow not to win this game. Sorry. So Zenner and I disagree. However, here's the deal. I'm going to be taking phone calls all weekend long as we inch up to this game. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to let you, the listener and viewer of the Almost Famous podcast, call in and give me your little prediction about what you think, why you think it. And we can just kind of kibitz a little bit and have some fun. So if that appeals to you, please leave your name and a number, how I can get a hold of you, and we'll set up a time where we can take 10 or 15 minutes and hear your prediction. That'll be fun. Thank you so much for, and leave that message, either direct message, or I wouldn't advise putting your phone number in a post. Just direct message me, either on Facebook or Instagram. Okay? All right, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun weekend, and we'll be talking to you all weekend long. Stay safe and stay, particularly in this part of the country, it's going to be wet all weekend long. Holy crackers. All right, we'll see you soon.